Jessica Mulroney has finally been offered the one thing that could bring the entire house of Montecito crashing down, a blank check. We are talking about a $1 million offer on the table for a tell-all memoir from the woman who didn't just know where the bodies were buried, she helped dig the holes. The rumor mill is absolutely on fire today, and if the whispers coming out of the publishing world are true, we are looking at the end of the curated, polished image of the Duchess as we know it. For years, we have watched friends, family, and staff get discarded, silenced, or pushed to the margins. But Jessica is different. Jessica was the vault. And it looks like the vault is about to crack wide open. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I hope you're all having a wonderful day, though I suspect it's not nearly as stressful as the day they're having over in California right now. We have so much to get into today because the news cycle has suddenly shifted gears from quiet concern to full-blown panic mode for Meghan. We've all been waiting for the moment when the silence would break, haven't we? We've seen the staff leave. We've seen the rotating door of PR professionals. But the silence of a former best friend is a heavy, dangerous thing. It hangs in the air. And now reports are swirling that Jessica Mulroney, the former stylist, the former confidant, the woman who was practically a sister to Meghan, has been offered a 7-figure deal to finally tell her side of the story. And let me tell you, this isn't just about fashion choices or wedding flower drama. This is about the years before the crown, the years during the climb, and the brutal reality of what happens when you are no longer useful to a narcissist. Let's really break down why this specific threat is keeping Meghan up at night. You have to remember the dynamic here. Jessica wasn't just some casual acquaintance Meghan met at a Soho House party. Jessica was the architect of the image. When Meghan was just a cable TV actress trying to make her mark in Toronto, it was Jessica who opened the doors to high society. It was Jessica who knew exactly who to call, what to wear, and where to be seen. They were inseparable. Do you remember those early photos? The vacations, the coordinated outfits, the constant praise on social media. It was a bond that seemed unbreakable. Jessica was there for the first dates with Harry. She was the one fielding the late-night calls when the relationship was secret. She was the one navigating the press when the story broke. She knows the timeline. And that is a very dangerous thing because, as we all know, the timeline Meghan has presented to the world has always been a little flexible. But it goes deeper than just knowing dates and times. Jessica knows the before. She knows the Meghan who was hungry for fame, the Meghan who was networking aggressively, the Meghan who was allegedly looking for a wealthy British man long before she stumbled into a blind date. A memoir from Jessica wouldn't just be a list of complaints, it would be a character study of ambition. And that is what terrifies the Duchess. It's one thing to have a disgruntled employee speak out. They can be dismissed as bitter. It's one thing to have a family member like Thomas Markle speak out. He can be painted as toxic. But Jessica comes from money. She comes from status. She doesn't need the cash to pay the rent, which makes this offer even more interesting. If she takes it, it's not for survival, it's for revenge. We have to talk about how their friendship ended because it is a textbook example of the discard phase. We saw it happen in real time. Jessica got caught up in a controversy that, let's be honest, had absolutely nothing to do with Meghan. But the moment Jessica became a liability, the moment her brand was tarnished, she was cut loose. No public support, no stand-by-your-friend moment, just a cold, sharp severance. Imagine being that close to someone, holding their secrets, supporting their rise to global fame, and then being dropped like a hot stone the second you stumble. That kind of betrayal breeds a very specific kind of anger. It's a slow-burning resentment. Jessica has stayed relatively quiet for years. She's posted the cryptic quotes on Instagram. She's made the vague allusions to fake friends, but she has never sat down and spilled the tea. Until now. Why now? Why February 2026? Think about the landscape. The protection around Meghan has evaporated. The Hollywood elite have distanced themselves. The big contracts have dried up or been canceled. The public sentiment has shifted drastically. A few years ago, writing a book attacking the Duchess would have gotten you canceled. You would have been labeled jealous, racist, or misogynistic. But today, the audience is hungry for the truth. The publishers know this. They know that a book from Jessica Mulroney would be an instant bestseller because it would confirm what so many of us have suspected for years but couldn't prove. The timing is perfect. Meghan is vulnerable. Her narrative is crumbling. And Jessica is standing there with the sledgehammer. What would be in this book? Let's speculate for a moment based on what we know Jessica witnessed. First, the wedding. We've heard the story about the flower girl dresses and who made who cry 1,000 times, but we've never heard it from the person who was actually in the room with the brides. Jessica's daughter was one of those flower girls. Jessica was there. She knows if there was bullying. She knows if there was shouting. She knows if the Duchess Difficult moniker was earned right there in the fittings. But beyond the wedding, there are the yacht years. We'll get into the specific rumors about the photos later, but generally speaking, Jessica knows the social circles Meghan ran in before Harry. She knows about the trips, the parties, the connections. If there is any truth to the rumors about Meghan's past associations with questionable figures, Jessica is the one who would have the receipts. She would know who paid for the trips, who was on the guest list, and what the ultimate goal of those excursions really was. There is also the matter of the surrogacy rumors. Now, I always tread carefully here, but we have to acknowledge that this is a huge topic of conversation online. If there is any validity to the speculation about how the children were born, or if there were surrogates involved that the public wasn't told about, Jessica would likely know. She was the best friend during the first pregnancy. She was there for the baby shower in New York, the one that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars and raised eyebrows everywhere. If there are secrets about the medical history, the birth, or the timeline of the pregnancies, Jessica is the keeper of those secrets. And let's not forget the sheer amount of personal correspondence she must have. Texts, emails, voice notes. We know Meghan loves to document everything. It's highly likely that Jessica has a digital archive of their friendship that paints a very different picture of the compassionate humanitarian we see on stage. The psychology of this potential book is fascinating. For Meghan, control is everything. She needs to control the narrative, the photos, the interviews, the perception. A memoir from a former best friend is the ultimate loss of control. It's an unauthorized biography written by someone with authorized access. It's a nightmare. Insiders are saying that the mere rumor of this book has caused absolute chaos behind the scenes. They are likely scrambling to figure out if they have legal standing to stop it. Did Jessica sign an NDA? Probably. But NDAs are tricky things. They can be broken, they can be challenged, and sometimes, if the story is big enough, the publisher will cover the legal fees just to get the book on the shelves. $1 million buys a lot of legal defense. And if Jessica feels that her own reputation was destroyed by Meghan's silence, she might feel that she has nothing left to lose. And let's be honest, money talks. Jessica has her own life, her own family, and her own bills. But more than that, there is a sense of justice in taking the payout. After being used as a stepping stone, after being discarded when she was no longer needed, why shouldn't she cash in on the experience? It's the ultimate irony. Meghan used her connection to the royal family to make millions. Now Jessica might use her connection to Meghan to make $1 million. It's a full circle moment that feels almost Shakespearean. The woman who helped create the Duchess is the only one who can dismantle her. We also have to consider the bullying report. Remember that? The report the palace buried? The one that supposedly contains testimony from staff who were traumatized by their time working for the Sussexes? Jessica knows how Meghan treats staff. She saw it in Toronto. She saw it in London. If Jessica corroborates the stories of the Sussex Survivors Club, it validates every single whisper we've heard for the last 6 years. It stops being tabloid gossip and starts being a documented pattern of behavior. It would vindicate the staff members who were silenced. It would vindicate the palace courtiers who were accused of lying. It would rewrite the history of Megxit, showing that perhaps the toxic environment wasn't the British press or the royal family, but the Duchess herself. There is a feeling in the air that the dam is breaking. You can feel it, can't you? For a long time, the stories were isolated, a rumor here, a blind item there, but now they are coalescing into a clear picture. The protection is gone, and this $1 million offer to Jessica is a signal flare. It tells us that the industry knows the story is valuable, and they are willing to pay for it. They aren't afraid of suing anymore. They aren't afraid of the racism card anymore. They just want the story. And Jessica Mulroney is the only one who can give it to them in full Technicolor detail. Think about the conversations they must have had in private, the things Meghan said about Harry, about the Queen, about Kate. Oh, to be a fly on the wall for those wine nights in Toronto. Jessica knows what Meghan really thought of Catherine. We've seen the public jealousy, the petty swipes in the documentary, but Jessica knows the raw, unfiltered envy. She knows if there was a plan from the beginning. Did Meghan target Harry? Did she study Diana? Did she have a game plan to secure the ring? Jessica knows. And if she puts that in writing, if she confirms that this was a calculated strategic operation to entrap a prince, it destroys the entire fairy tale romance narrative that Meghan clings to. It exposes the hustle. As we move into the second part of this discussion, we need to connect this betrayal to the darker, murkier rumors that have just surfaced. Because it's not just about a stylist writing a book. It's about a past that refuses to stay buried. Just yesterday, a photo started circulating, a photo that, if proven true, links Meghan to a world far more sinister than Hollywood climbing. We are talking about the yacht rumors. We are talking about connections to people who are currently in prison or disgraced. It seems that while Jessica is considering blowing the lid off the personal side, the internet detectives are blowing the lid off the professional side, and I use the word professional very loosely here. The timing of these two things, the book offer and the resurfaced photos, is not a coincidence. It's a storm. And Meghan is standing right in the center of it without an umbrella. We need to talk about why these yacht girl rumors just won't go away. You've seen the comments, you've seen the blind items. For years, people have whispered that Meghan's past wasn't just acting and philanthropy. And now, with this new photo, allegedly from 2016, the whispers are turning into shouts. It's the kind of scandal that makes a mean girl memoir look like a bedtime story. But when you combine them, when you have the best friend exposing the character and the photos exposing the connections, you have a total reputation collapse. Stay tuned, because in a moment, we are going to dive deep into that photo, the names associated with it, and why the internet is convinced that the Duchess has a connection to the most notorious scandal of the decade. We're going to look at the facts, the faces, and the fear that must be coursing through Montecito right now. Jessica's book is the match. But this next story is the gasoline. Here's part 2 of the script. It picks up immediately where part 1 left off, diving deep into the viral rumors and the darker side of the hustle. If Jessica Mulroney's potential memoir is the match, then the photo that surfaced on February 9th is the gasoline. We are moving from the betrayal of a best friend to something far darker, something that threatens to dismantle the very foundation of the humanitarian image Meghan has spent millions trying to build. We need to talk about the Yacht Girl files. For years, there have been whispers. You've seen them in the comment sections. You've heard them alluded to in blind items. The term Yacht Girl has followed Meghan around like a bad smell since long before she ever met Harry. But until yesterday, it was just that, whispers, smoke without a fire. People could dismiss it as jealous trolls or internet conspiracy theories. But on February 9th, 2026, a photo dropped on X, formerly Twitter, that has the entire internet hitting the zoom button. It's grainy, sure. It's from a distance. But the implications are crystal clear. The photo, allegedly taken in August 2016, just months before the official romance with Harry went public, shows a group of women on a luxury yacht. And right there in the center, wearing a wide-brimmed hat and oversized sunglasses, is a woman who bears a striking, undeniable resemblance to our Duchess. Now, a hat and sunglasses are a classic celebrity disguise. But it's not just about who is in the photo, it's about who she is with. The internet sleuths, who, let's be honest, are often better than the FBI at this point, have identified another woman in that frame as Karina Shuliak. For those who don't follow the deep dive news, Karina Shuliak was Jeffrey Epstein's last girlfriend. She was the woman by his side right up until the end. She is the link to the dark, twisted world of Ghislaine Maxwell. And if Meghan was indeed partying on a yacht with Epstein's inner circle in 2016, it changes everything. It shatters the naive American actress narrative completely. It suggests that she wasn't just a struggling actress looking for a break. She was allegedly operating in circles that were dangerous, compromised, and very, very exclusive. Why does this Yacht Girl label stick so hard? Why, out of all the rumors, is this the one that won't go away? Because it fits the pattern of behavior we've seen. The Yacht Girl lifestyle isn't just about being on a boat. It's about being available to the highest bidder in terms of social climbing. It's about being placed in environments where wealthy, powerful men congregate. We know Meghan was a networker. We know she was aggressively hunting for a British husband. We know she was spending time at Soho House, which has its own reputation for facilitating these kinds of introductions. The narrative that she was just lucky to meet Harry on a blind date has always felt thin. But if she was part of this yacht circuit, it implies a level of calculation that is chilling. It implies that she was vetted, selected, and positioned. And then there is the Ghislaine Maxwell connection. We know they were photographed near each other. We know there are rumors, persistent, stubborn rumors, that Meghan's name appears in the unsealed Epstein files, possibly as a witness or an associate. Every time a new batch of documents is released, you can feel the tension in Montecito. Why? If she has nothing to hide, why the silence? Why haven't they sued over these specific rumors? They sue over everything else. They sued over a letter to her father. They sued over security. But when it comes to the Yacht Girl allegations and the Epstein connections, there is a deafening silence. That silence speaks volumes. It suggests fear. It suggests that they know there is something out there, a photo, a logbook entry, a witness testimony. that could prove she was closer to that world than she ever admitted. Think about the timeline. August 2016, she meets Harry in July 2016. The overlap is precarious. If she was still yachting or hanging around the Epstein/Maxwell crowd after meeting Harry, it paints a picture of a woman keeping her options open. It suggests that Harry wasn't a love match. He was just the biggest fish she managed to catch. It recontextualizes the entire courtship. Was she rushing the engagement because she needed protection? Was the desperate need for royal security actually a need for diplomatic immunity or a shield against what was coming with the Epstein investigation? These are the questions that keep circulating, and this new photo just poured fuel on the fire. The post on X didn't just get a few likes, it exploded. Thousands of reposts, millions of views. The comments are filled with people saying, "I knew it," or "finally the proof." The mood of the public has shifted from skepticism to confirmation bias. Even if the photo turns out to be a case of mistaken identity, which is always possible, the damage is already done. The image is seared into people's minds. The association is solidified. Meghan Markle, Duchess of Sussex, is now inextricably linked in the public imagination with the sordid, exploitative world of Jeffrey Epstein, and that is a stain you cannot scrub out with a lifestyle brand or a Netflix documentary. Speaking of brands, let's look at the Duchess of Hustle. This photo reinforces the idea that Meghan has always been a hustler. And I don't mean that in the girl boss, empowering way. I mean it in the transactional way. Her entire life before Harry was a series of transactions. She used people. She used her first husband, Trevor, to get a footing in the industry. She used her chef boyfriend to get into the Toronto social scene. She used Jessica Mulroney to get into the high fashion world. And now the implication is that she used the yacht scene to get access to billionaires. It's a pattern of using proximity to power to elevate herself. The problem is, when you climb that high, the fall is much, much harder. The timing of this is catastrophic for her. Look at where we are in 2026. The Spotify deal, gone. The podcast was a flop. The Netflix deal, hanging by a thread, with project after project getting canceled or buried. The American Riviera Orchard lifestyle brand, does anyone even remember that? It launched with jam and ended with silence. She has tried everything to reinvent herself. She tried to be the next Oprah, the next Martha Stewart, the next Gwyneth Paltrow. But nothing sticks because the audience doesn't trust her. They see the hustle. They see the inauthenticity. And now with these new scandals, the betrayal by Jessica and the resurfacing of the yacht photos, she is running out of road. She has nowhere left to pivot. The victim card has expired. She played it too many times. She can't cry racism over a photo of her on a yacht. She can't cry misogyny when it's her former best friend writing the book. The defenses she relied on for the last 6 years have crumbled. She is standing exposed, and the public is not sympathetic. In fact, if you look at the comments on these news stories, there is a sense of schadenfreude, a sense that people are enjoying watching the karma finally hit. It's harsh, but it's the reality of the court of public opinion. When you spend years lecturing the world from a place of moral superiority while hiding a closet full of skeletons, people enjoy watching the door fly open. We also have to consider Prince Harry in all of this. Where is he? He's been awfully quiet lately, hasn't he? If these rumors about his wife's past are true, if she really was associated with the Epstein crowd, did he know? Did the palace know? There is a theory that the palace scrubbed her internet history before the wedding, that they knew exactly who she was and tried to bury it to avoid a scandal, hoping she would just play the role and be quiet. But she didn't stay quiet. She declared war on the very institution that was protecting her secrets. And now that she's on the outside, the protection is gone. The palace isn't going to kill a story about Meghan's yacht days. In fact, they might be quietly relieved that the truth is coming out, because it vindicates their reservations about her from the very beginning. Remember William's advice? Don't rush this. Get to know this girl. Maybe he knew exactly what this girl had been up to. The convergence of these two stories, the Mulroney memoir and the yacht girl photos, creates a perfect storm. One attacks her personal character from the inside. The other attacks her moral character from the outside. One says she is a bad friend. The other says she is a compromised individual. Together, they paint a portrait of a woman who is vastly different from the saintly figure she tries to project. It's the unmasking we have been waiting for. What happens next? Well, usually when a story this damaging breaks, we see a flurry of activity. We see paparazzi walks in parking lots where she's smiling maniacally to show she's unbothered. We see sources close to the couple leaking stories to People magazine about how happy they are. We might even see a sudden announcement of a new project or a relaunch to distract us. But these tactics are getting old. We see through them now. A smiling photo in a parking lot doesn't erase a connection to Ghislaine Maxwell. A fluff piece in a magazine doesn't stop Jessica Mulroney from signing a book deal. The distraction techniques are failing. It feels like we are in the end game. The slow trickle of information is turned into a flood. And for a woman who has built her entire life on controlling the narrative, losing control on this scale must be terrifying. She can't sue the internet. She can't silence everyone. The truth, or at least the version of it that has been hidden for so long, is clawing its way to the surface. I want to hear from you in the comments. Do you think Jessica will take the money? Do you think she has the smoking gun that will finally finish Meghan's reputation? And what about the photo? Do you believe it's her? Do you think the connections to the Epstein circle are real, or is it just a case of guilt by association? And most importantly, do you think Harry knew? This story is developing fast. February 2026 is shaping up to be the month that everything changed for the Sussexes. We will be keeping a very close eye on Jessica's next move, and we will be digging deeper into the origins of that photo. You don't want to miss what's coming next. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the real story behind the headlines, please make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We don't just read the news here, we analyze it, we question it, and we look for the truth that the mainstream media is too afraid to touch. Hit that like button to help spread the word, and share this video with a friend who needs to know what's really going on. Until next time, keep your eyes open, because the truth always comes out eventually. Bye for now.